The October 25th, 2021 meeting of the Recreation Education Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Chairman Allcoffer.
Here.
Mr. Baines.
Here.
Ms. Boyce is excused. Mr. Flagler Mitchell is excused. Mr. Keller.
Here.
President Carvel.
Here. Is there anyone signed up for the public forum?
Yes, there are 3 speakers signed up. When I call your name, please come forward to the podium. You'll have 2 minutes in which to address the committee. Please conclude when the buzzers are sounds. Thank you. Our first speaker is Tina Carney. Please come up.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Tina Carney. I'm a Monroe County resident and advocate for struggling learners, including those who are dyslexic. October is Dyslexia Awareness Month, and I'm going to talk about literacy and dyslexia. My oldest child is in 6th grade and is dyslexic. Dyslexia is the most common learning disability affecting up to 1 in 5 people. People who are dyslexic have a hard time with reading, writing, and spelling, but are of average or above average intelligence. From my research, I was grateful to learn that there were knowledgeable experts, evidence-based instructional methods, and assessments that could help my son. I was disappointed and frustrated to learn that 1, not many teachers know about dyslexia or how our brains learn to read. 2, the school assessments did not pick up on his needs. 3, the type of instruction he needed was not available at his school. My kids will be okay. I am deeply concerned for other parents, teachers, and kids who don't know what I've learned. People who are dyslexic are not stupid, but many who are not identified feel that way and disengage from school. In 2019, the nation's report card indicated about 2/3 of 4th and 8th grade students were not proficient in reading. Literacy is a big problem in our country, in New York State, and in Monroe County. There are some great things happening in some Monroe County school districts, but it's not happening everywhere, and it's not quick enough to help all of our kids. We need community literacy solutions based on what has been learned from reading research. Please learn more about dyslexia and how the brain learns to read, and join me in advocating for teacher training at evidence-based instruction and assessments. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Dr. Deanne Burkham.
Thank you for our opportunity to address the legislature on this evening. We're very appreciative of the unanimous support that we received in our 2021-22 budget for the Monroe Community College. Your demonstration of MCC as a jewel for this community. As part of our testimony before the legislature in July and August, when you considered the college's 2021-22 budget requests, we shared information about the proposed increase in the technology fee and its impact on both Pell and non-Pell recipient students. The approved increase of $50 per applicable term is budgeted to yield approximately $700,000 in income and impacts Pell and non-Pell recipients, nearly equaling about $350,000 per cohort. MCC students continue to bear the burden of the gap in state full-time equivalent, or FTE aid, to offset these and related increases in the cost of their education. Additionally, we noted that the MCC's technology fee was established by SUNY to build, maintain, and support an information technology infrastructure that is appropriate for an individual campus to provide a high-quality learning environment. Revenue from this fee supports specific technology needs, such as computing and information technology, library automation, remote network access, public computing sites, student services, automation, and other administrative and student servicing systems. As budgeted for the fiscal year 2021-22, MCC intends to invest nearly $7.8 million in support of network infrastructure, computing, instructional technology directly associated with the students, information and cybersecurity, and other related technology support services. In maintaining our priority on providing MCC students with an accessible, high quality, and affordable education, we are appreciative of Legislator Hebert's outreach to better understand how the technology fee impacts MCC students, and in response, to demonstrate strong support for providing direct assistance to cover the increase in the technology fee for all MCC students for the 2021-22 academic year. If approved, the funds would be restricted for the express purpose of reimbursing all Monroe Community College students the amount charged as a result of the increase in the technology fee. This will enable MCC to deliver real and equitable relief to its students who are increasingly most in need of our financial support. Thank you very much for your statement. Would you like me to stay for questions, or am I good?
We have one more speaker, Daryl Joaquin Moore.
Jacob Moore. Daryl, do you have anything to add?
You don't.
Okay, he's with me. Mr. Jacob Moore is with me. We're prepared to address any questions that might be necessary if you would like, Mr. Speaker. Okay, thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. You have the September 27th, 2021 minutes before you. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. The next item on the agenda is new business. Mr. Clerk?
Item number 21-0364, amend the county budget and resolution 211 of 2020 to increase Monroe County's contribution to Monroe Community College for the payment of tech fees for the 2021-2022 school year.
Move it.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Carbone and Blake Keller made this second. Is there any discussion? Legislator?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In reviewing the referral, the language of the text states that the purpose of the $700,000 is to fully fund the increase. That's in the last paragraph prior to the two numbers of the specific actions. However, under number 2, it states that the funding is, quote, for the express purpose of funding all student 2021-2022 tech fees. And then again, when in the second page, top paragraph, it says funds will be restricted for the express purpose of reimbursing MCC students the amount charged as a result of the increase. So there's a contradiction, and I want to begin with a clarification through you to the maker of the motion, Mr. Chair. Which is it? Is it only for the $50 increase, or is it, as the referral states in number 2, of funding all student tech fees?
If someone would like to answer that question from MCC or the maker of the motion, Legislator Hebert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to Legislator Baines, I think you're misreading it a bit. There was a discussion, the second item you referred to, there were 2 approaches that could be used for this. One was to fund the tech fee increase for just those students who had to pay out of pocket. There was the second option of paying the tech fee increase for all of the students at MCC. That is what that all of the second refers to. If it's confusing, we will make an adjustment to make that less confusing for you. So the intent is clearly to pay the tech fee increase for the entire population of students because it was driven by the COVID-19. A large amount of that was driven by the fact that they were forced to go off campus and were put in a position of having to have additional technology put in place.
Legislator Baines?
Sure, thank you. So just to be clear, so we have $50 reimbursements, and that's $700,000. So that's 14,000 reimbursements doing the math. So my question, through you, Mr. Chair, to the maker of the motion, and thank you, Legislator Hebert, for responding. How are these reimbursements going to be managed? Are checks going to be cut to these 14,000 reimbursements? How is this money's already been spent by these students? Do you have a sense of how that's going to be managed?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to Legislator Baines. I'll probably pass this to MCC in a moment for more details, but your math is off because you're forgetting that there are 2 semesters worth of fees. So it is actually 7,000 students each semester being charged $50 a piece. So it's 7,000 students times $100, which is how you reach the amount of money that is in the referral. As far as the details, I know that the money has to be fed through the MCC Foundation. It is my belief, and I will let the representatives from MCC verify, that the money will be credited to the students who paid already for the fall 2021 semester, and as a credit on their spring 2022 bill, and the spring 2022 bill will have that increase listed as paid for on the bill. But I will pass it over, if I may, to the MCC representatives at this point, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So you are correct. It's 2 terms, $700,000 a year. I recall also that the fees are tiered according to the class load of the students. So it'll be different for every student to total up to the $700,000. The restriction that's provided in the resolution will allow the money to come directly to MCC. With that specific restriction, it'll then be put in a restricted account only for this purpose.
Thank you. And I think
So Legislator Baines, that's a correction to what I said, which I was unaware of.
Legislator Baines, you have further questions?
Oh, absolutely. Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
This is $700,000 we're talking about. I have a few questions. I appreciate it, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Chairman. So I do believe that 2 times 7,000 times 70 is, 2 times 7,000 is 14,000. I understand it's 2 semesters in the school schedule. I've been living by the school schedule for my entire life. But what I'm interested in here is that we're reimbursing a student population that is famous for students not returning. We know that many students who attend MCC don't come back the next semester. We probably have a certain sense of that. So through you, Mr. Chair, to our friends from MCC or to the maker of the motion, won't there be a significant number of those students who won't return? And as a result, they won't get a credit for their $50 that they spent?
Why don't you address the technicalities of how the funds will be reimbursed?
Yeah. So the funds will be reimbursed after they're billed. They'll be reimbursed against the student account. So we're not writing a check to anyone. We're simply editing the account, putting a credit on their account to offset the charge.
Yes, I understand, but isn't it true that a significant number is sometimes as many as 20-30% of the students don't return?
To the question, as I'm understanding it, about allocating resources to students who would not be returning. This is pertaining to our student population who we are, that are currently our students and were our students in the prior academic year. And the funds have already been charged to the fall students who are still with us. Our indication of what we're describing here is to ensure that by offsetting, the funds are there, the graciousness of Legislator Hebert and others to bring this resolution forward is to identify pathways to retain students and not to have circumstances that lead to making it more difficult for them to continue along with us. So our confidence is in that we continue our efforts to retain those students as well as those that we had in the past, those that are currently with us, and those that we might attract in the spring semester.
Thank you. But the question still remains, don't a significant number of students not return despite your best efforts?
Well, there certainly are circumstances that have challenged community colleges in general. in terms of student retention and completion. However, the allocation here is pertaining specifically to students who we know are our students and would not necessarily be relevant to the question pertaining to what might hypothetically occur.
We do have a past record, don't we? We have indicators over years of how many of our students return. We probably have that data historically over the last 50 years, don't we?
Absolutely. We do have data related to who our students are, who we have retained, who we continue to recruit, and those that we want to be able to use these funds related to ensure that we have an opportunity to retain them.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the administration, what is the protocol for guaranteeing that these funds are expended for the express purpose of the referral? Does the county have any control over that after the $700,000 is sent to MCC?
Mr. Chairman, the county does not play a role in MCC's internal control procedures. It is, or would be within the realm of county government's purview to audit MCC in the future. This referral is attempting to restrict this particular contribution to the college, so that could be a potential audit point in the future.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, through you to the maker of the motion. Is this intended to be a one-shot $700,000 infusion of cash, or is this part of a plan on your part or part of others that you know of to put this $700,000 into permanent funding status to support the institution?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to Legislator Baines, I've made it perfectly clear to MCC that this is a one-year activity to cover this one specific calendar year, school year, academic year 2021 and 2022. I would also point out to you that I sent a letter, an email rather, on October 11th to Deputy County Executive McCann asking for any input from the administration, to which I received no response, and therefore have not I've kind of assumed that there are not any major issues with the administration unless they were probably talking about it. And I think that's it. Thank you, sir.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'd like to just explain my vote.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so number one, I don't approve of this slush fund being used in an election year to hand money out. However, I did vote for the veterans because veterans are so dear to my heart. I'm a son of a veteran. I also feel like, personally, my philosophy is that pre-K to 14 education in the public sector, there should be tuition free. So I actually am a massive supporter of increased aid for MCC. My concern is that when you give money, revenue to institutions and then take it away, it can literally do positive harm to the continuity and the equity within that organization. So certain people get benefits and then they're taken away. So I have a deep concern that this $700,000 is a one-shot deal from our property taxes. So I guess I have a final question for the administration before I conclude my remarks. This, we do charge back our support for MCC below the line to individual towns based on the students that they send to MCC. But this $700,000 would not be subject to that charge back. Through you to the administration, please, Mr. Chair.
Jeremy, you want to speak to this?
Mr. Chairman, that is correct. The sponsor contribution Monroe County makes to the community college is the only prospective chargeback on the tax bill. So the January 2021 tax bill included as a chargeback the 2021 sponsor contribution. So this additional $700,000 will not show up on the January 22 tax bill.
So just to conclude my remarks and explain my vote, I feel that because of the overall positive outcome that this money will have for the students at MCC, and despite my concerns with the controls, and I have a deep concern that it's a one-shot deal in an election year, John Baines is going to vote yes for students every time. And so as a result, I'll be voting yes on this referral. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from legislators of this committee?
I'd like to explain my vote. I think this money is going to be a great benefit to MCC and the students. And to insinuate that MCC would use this money for any other reason and would need to be audited, I take offense to. I have the utmost confidence that MCC will use this money for what it's intended for. And I would vote yes on this, and I don't recall this being called a slush fund. It was called a community contingency fund. And that's exactly what we're using it for, to help community and help our residents. So Joe Carbone will be voting yes. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item carries. Next item? Okay. Are there any other matters to come before this committee? There being no other matters, the October 25th, 2021 meeting of the Recreation Education Committee stands adjourned. The next meeting of the Recreation Education Committee will be on Monday, November 22nd, 2021, at 6 p.m.